Good evening, viewers of Voice of Canada, our weekly talk show. Our today's honorable guest is our one and only Niloufer Mavalvala. She's a very well-known and a busy lady, but she took out time to come to our show. My co-host is our charming Ekaterina Konysheva. So, Niloufer, we welcome you to our show, which is a weekly show, and we only invite politicians and celebrities. So you have joined the rank of celebrities. You are the author of 2 books already, and already what we hear from you and the news in the market is that your 3rd book is coming soon. So would you like to give a brief introduction for our viewers?
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. So I'm born and brought up in Karachi, and after that I educated also in Karachi, and I moved to Dubai after I got married, stayed there for a few years, and then we moved to Toronto 20 years ago.
Wow. You and me, we have moved to the same time practically.
Yeah. Actually, it will be 20 years on
20
the 15th.
for us also.
Yeah. And cooking is my passion, and this passion turned into a food blog. The food blog took off very, very well organically. I am waiting for my 1 millionth hit very soon, over 900,000. And that food blog gave me an opportunity to write these 2 books on Parsi cuisine.
Niloufer, also inform our viewers a little bit about your late dad. He was a well-known eye specialist, a surgeon, and I was lucky to meet him several times, many times, way back in Karachi. And he had a smiling face, and he used to serve the community. So we used to call him a philanthropist.
He was a philanthropist. Unfortunately, he passed away very young. He was a great influence on myself, but on many others as well. He was an eye surgeon of international repute. He earned a lot of gold medals. He contributed a lot towards ophthalmology worldwide, I have to say. He was part of eye camps that they started. He was part of the Orbis in Pakistan. He was part of Graham Layton. He always believed in working 1 day of the week free. All his life on Saturdays, he worked for free. He was part of Masumeen Hospital.
Beautiful.
Now, these are the few things that I can remember, but he left a great impact
on everybody, whosoever met, and he served all the communities without any caste, color, creed, and he was a real wonderful guy.
Thank you so much. So even after 30 years, people still remember him.
See, I remember your dad.
Yeah.
I had not seen you as a young girl, but I do know your family very well.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Nilofer, it's a pleasure to meet you tonight, and thank you for joining us. Please talk a little bit about your passion. How did you come to this, and if you took any specific trainings in order to fulfill your passion?
A lot of people ask me about my training. I am a self-taught person.
Wow.
Also, I am lucky because I was brought up in a family which loved food passionately. And it was my mom. She was an excellent baker. She even ran a small business for a little time after my father passed away. Yeah. And also my aunt, my father's sister, Willie. She was a great influence in my life. And I learned a lot from her. And the passion was to cook for friends and family, and just because I love to do it. And a sense of kind of calm used to be over me if I went into the kitchen and I prepared something. I don't know if I ever thought I would write a book, leave alone 2 or 3.
Who encouraged you to write a book?
My mother.
Your mom.
She always wanted to, but we always found out that it was always the food photography that was sort of the hurdle. So finally, we got the hurdle covered. And after that, it's the challenge is of food photography. So once that part was covered, it was easier. It was
How
much
long
easier.
ago did you pursue this idea of writing the book?
So one fine day, I used to teach, or I still do teach here. And one day, I realized that a lot of people give me a call every morning to find out about what they can do to make the food better, or something that they've learned and forgotten, or whatever. So I started writing a food blog. And again, the food blog was easy because the recipes are there, but it was always hard to find a good picture. And as you all know, we eat with our eyes, and the picture was very important. So in 2013, I started writing my food blog. And in 2014, I was approached by Austin Macaulay on Twitter. And I wrote my book, and it was out in 2016.
2016, wow.
And after that, I did another book, the second book, which is self-published. And that was in July of 2019. And this was self-published because it's very hard for a publisher, and rightly so, to accept somebody else's work without having their input. So it's very difficult.
Difficult, yeah, true.
And also you have to understand that Parsi food is not well known across the world. So they don't really know what I'm trying to put forward. And if they don't know the cuisine, they can't take the pictures. So my problem is that I want to do it, and their problem is that they want to do it.
They want to take the credits.
No, it's not just the credit. Obviously, most publishers will have their own photography team and everything, right? So it's harder for me to get a publisher than other people because Parsi food is not so well known. You know, they don't know what I'm offering. But once the international market is aware, I think it will be much easier.
If you put a term not only as Parsi meals, but Persian meals, you know, so that will make a difference. It's a lot of fusion of Persian and Parsi in your recipes.
Absolutely.
And they are so well written and so user friendly that a layman like me put my hands during COVID. We were at home. And believe me, I felt most successful with your recipes than anybody else's.
Thank you. So the book is always about moving from Persia to India. And that's the reason why I'm producing my third book, which is going to be called The Root of Parsi Cooking.
Parsi cooking, wow.
From Pars to India.
To India.
So it's about the migration, or the culinary migration, that we took along with us. Because obviously we took everything with us. So it is the journey of the food from Persia to India. We've always spoken about what we have adopted and adapted to from India. But now I'm going to portray what the commonalities are between our food, taking us back to our roots. So it's going to be interesting. And although it's still going to be Parsi food, but it's going to showcase what part of the cuisine we have continued to use from Persia.
Persia. Very nice. Very well. When it is expected to come in the market?
Not very soon.
This year at least?
No, 2023.
23.
Yes. I have found a publisher who is very interested. Fortunately for me, he is interested because he has spent time in Karachi, in Bombay, in other parts of India.
Lovely.
So he already knew, he was aware of it. And he agreed that it was not possible for them to portray the food as I would be able to. So he is depending on me and my team to get it done right.
We wish you in advance all the best.
Thank you.
It will be successful. Inform our viewers, are these two books available anywhere else? on any online agencies or Amazon or anywhere you can purchase?
Yes. So this particular book, the first one, The Art of Parsi Cooking, is published by Austin Macaulay. So they have been able to distribute it through Book Depository, through Amazon, through themselves, and it's fine. It's not an issue to get a copy. The other one, because it's self-published, there is a slight distribution challenge. Yes. So besides the Amazon, which you can get if you are in the USA, I have found a niche to kind of find volunteers to help me supply the book.
Supply and
So right now, if you need a book, please connect with me and I will guide you how to get a copy for yourself. However, say by the second half, my publisher who has taken me on for my third book has agreed to help me distribute my second book.
Awesome.
Because this second book has won 3 awards.
Wow.
So he liked the idea that we haven't been able to fulfill the distribution. So let's reprint and let's distribute through the right channels.
Niloufer, inform our viewers of Voice of Canada, you belong to an affluent family. And your maiden name, Vania family, is very well known in Karachi. They have really served the community in all spheres of life, from your great parents to your dad and your mom. They're all well known. So you all never did this for any compensation or anything like that. You did for passion.
Yes.
And serving the community and to preserve our culture and our meals, the Persian Parsi meals. That was the main purpose, which I even tell our communities, which are very, very few over here in Canada, that what Niloufer's aim is to promote and preserve our culture and heritage. So do you agree with me?
Absolutely. So yes, I am fortunate enough that I can afford to do that. But I would like to say that these books are definitely for the record. If we don't do these things, we will lose it.
Lose our culture and our...
Right? So it's not just about moving from ancient Persia to India, but now in the past 20, 30 years, particularly, a lot of our community has moved to Canada, to the UK, to USA,
Australia,
to Australia, everywhere. So the joy that I have received from writing these books is when the younger generation who are just recently married, have their children, they write to me and they tell me how much they enjoy it because they feel confident. They want to do something, but didn't know where to start.
And how to do it.
And I have kept all of them authentic, but obviously I have brought it into the 21st century. For instance, obviously we use machines now. Originally,
lots
we
of
used to have
gadgets.
Masala no patthar, right?
Yeah.
So it was a special stone on which we had
used to grind the masala. Yeah.
So you can't say that the curry will taste good if you do it on that, because nobody's going to do it.
No time.
So there's no time and you can't do it. It's not possible. So while I have put it in there, just to keep that tradition alive, that this was how we did it. This is what it is about. But now, moving on, we will use a grinder.
The new techniques.
And we will still have the same flavors and the same authenticity. So go ahead and make it.
Awesome.
As I understand and as I feel how you taking your inspiration from the ancient cuisine, what do you find more interesting to preserve and maybe to bring back and recover those ancient recipes that sometimes, because they sometimes get lost and you need to recover them to understand how it tasted back in the days, versus bringing taking the old recipes and adjusting them a little bit with the newer ingredients to bring them more
ingredients
to the
are not
taste.
Changed
because the new tastes are a little bit different. We taste the food different. We have different preferences.
Yes.
What do you feel is more interesting, or maybe both, or like how do you feel about this, or mixing two culture like cultural cuisines together?
I think it's an excellent question. And I would say that I am very fortunate that I've got authentic recipes from at least 3 generations before me.
It's very
Wow.
interesting.
Right?
Very interesting.
So luckily for me, my mother was very meticulous in writing everything down. And even if she didn't make everything, like pickles or whatever, she still had it with her. She hadn't given it away or lost
It's
it
a
or
great
thrown
treasure.
it away.
It was a
actually, to have
treasure,
those
family
It's a
records.
treasure. It's a treasure. And what I have done is I have shared those 100%. But I have given an alternate. So every recipe has a little story, a recipe, and tips. And in my tips section, I tell them that if you can't find this,
Alternate is given.
alternate is this.
Wow.
But I have kept the authentic recipe because I want to keep that flavor, I want to keep the taste, and yet I don't want to deprive somebody who wants to do something in some remote area of the world where they may not get something, you know.
That's
So that way, I think it's very, very important that these books are bought not only if you want to cook, but
But to
perhaps
preserve.
to preserve.
For our future generations.
Yeah. It's like buying a piece of jewelry or a piece of old embroidery, agara that we have as reviving. So it's not like you use it every day or you wear it every day, but it's there for a purpose. So if you have children or grandchildren, I think this is a perfect thing to allow them to keep it.
Niloufer, your legacy will surely last. What you are doing for the community and for the Parsi Persian cuisine. We really appreciate all your efforts. And before, we will be taking a short break and we'll return back soon.
Thank you.
We are back after taking a short break with our weekly talk show, Voice of Canada, hosted by Asphandiar Wadiwalla and co-hosted by Ekaterina Konysheva. Our tonight's guest is our one and only Niloufer Mavalvala. She is really a pride of our community who is doing a wonderful job to keep a legacy and to keep our culture intact. So Niloufer, we welcome you back after the break. Would you inform our viewers that after the launch of the 3rd book, what kind of recipes are there? There are some different recipes which are not in these 2 books.
Yes, definitely. So the first book has 33 recipes,
Wow.
and I have divided it by appetizers, first course, second course,
Bake
third
also,
course, that sort of
and
thing.
the desserts too.
Desserts too. The second book has 51 recipes.
Wow.
And that book has been divided by pickles, fish and seafood, meats, lentils, vegetables, and sweets, of course. And the third book will also be more or less in the same format
Range of
as the second one, as
Wow.
a sort of a part 2 of that. But no, nothing will be repeated. We will have between 70 and 80 recipes in that.
Oh, wow.
And again, it will be divided by, I like to keep traditional things. So, you know, it's like Bapajini Banni, which is your jars,
Yeah. Oh,
or your Bapawajino Machwo, which is
that's
a
very good.
seafood trawler.
Trawler.
So that's what my family has. So all of that, there's a lot of thought that goes into putting this together. But there will be no repeats.
And
There
it
will
will
be
take
no
another
repeats.
2 years to be published.
Well, yes.
But
at
you are
least
doing a good job.
A year to put it together. And then, of course, the publisher gets the USB, and then it's up to him how they sort of produce it. But yes, I'm looking forward to it. I've done most of the food photography now, and
You're
about
already doing it's under process.
Yes, under process.
When you approached your first book, what did you find was the most challenging in putting it together? Was there something that surprisingly difficult that you didn't think about it before, that you had to face, or something that it was like, oh, I thought this is difficult, but it was so easy?
Yes, putting a book is fun. It's really, really good fun. But obviously, there are challenges. So, being asked by a publisher, first of all, you get very excited. You don't really look into the small nitty-gritties.
Mhm.
And then you have to accept
Some
it
of them you
a
just don't
little.
know about.
We don't know about. Yeah, it's a learning process.
Learning process, correct.
And I love my first book, but I do realize that it's done by somebody else,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's put together pretty nicely, but if it was me, I may have done it a little bit different, but that is obviously a personal choice. So for the first book, it was very hard because there was nobody to help me do the food photographs.
Wow.
So I had a good friend, and he's actually a wedding photographer, and we took on the challenge together.
Mhm.
And it was just literally learning on the job. To create everything was easy, but to put it together was hard.
Mhm.
For the second book, I realized that first of all, I couldn't give him trouble.
Mhm.
Obviously, he was working, has a family, everything. So the only way to do it was to learn it myself.
Self.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. You picked
And-
up to do the pictures also, and
Yes,
photography
yes.
too.
And luckily, I had always been very fond of photography. I hadn't really thought of food photography, but photography. So I found a teacher.
Uh-huh.
He's excellent. I'm very fortunate. He not only helps me edit my work,
Mhm.
but he also helps me photograph things. And we've continued our journey. I started in 2017 with him,
Mhm.
and it's really the best
Association with him.
the best decision
Decision
if
you've
you want
taken.
to do something in food. You have to know how to do the photography. It's really important.
You should know the basics
Yes.
before publishing your
Really
book.
important.
And
yes.
as much as I'm familiar with the food photography, not always something that looks tasty in life looks tasty on the picture.
Picture.
So there are some tricks.
It is very hard, but I have to be honest and proud to say that I have not used anything to.
You've done your best to avoid those tricks.
I have not put anything false.
Not easy, very
Mhm.
not easy.
I have not put any gel. I have not put any coloring.
No cosmetic.
No cosmetic.
All a la natural, what we can say.
Yes, but the good part of it is, and it's very important, that if there is somebody who is a novice and it doesn't look the same when you try to make it in your kitchen, you're going to get very disheartened.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that is a fact.
That's true.
But trial and error makes the person
Yes,
perfect.
Might be
But
discouraging.
if I haven't doctored it, there is a 99% chance that it's going to look exactly the same.
Same.
So that builds confidence. And it's very important to do that. And that is the genius of my teacher, to teach me how to do that.
And who was your teacher?
His name is William Ravel,
Wow, wow.
and he does only food photography.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Niloufer, inform our viewers that how did you started learning to cook? Not only your passion or your family, who were the main force behind that? And how you kept the authenticity of our Parsi meals?
Well, when we were young, I went to Mama School, and Mama School had a cookery session. But besides that, watching my mom cook, even my dad knew how to cook a little.
Really?
Yes.
That's an
And,
added info.
Yes. So it was just sort of very natural to us. And although I didn't really like what we learned in school, because none of my
That were
favorite
normal
things
dishes and normal things,
taught,
not
right?
a gourmet dishes.
No, I actually love simple food. But I think it was a little unfair because I think we started with things like spinach, which no young person really looks
Likes
forward
it,
to.
yeah, love it.
Or hot chocolate or stuff like that, which wasn't like in the favorite department.
Mhm.
But at home, I used to make crepes.
Wow.
And I used to love making crepes because it was something that you could fill with anything. It was sweet, it was savory.
Savory, yeah.
And my father was very, very encouraging, and he was very keen that I should learn how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would say, I don't want to or I don't like to, he would keep telling me that everybody has to eat.
Eat.
So if you enjoy every single meal,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be happier.
Definitely.
You'll still have to eat. So it's better you know how to do it than to rely on someone else.
Yeah.
So he used to keep brainwashing me like that. And then, of course, seeing my aunt in Mumbai, she used to give cooking demonstrations, and I used to be her sous chef, and I used to love it. So she's the one who taught me how to cut a chicken or clean a fish or something that
Awesome.
I don't think we would have done in Pakistan, having help in the house. You don't really get a chance to learn that part of the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a very different process.
Yes. As somebody who have a passion and somebody who is pursuing the passion, at some point you start looking for more knowledge and more inspiration, and looking at those people who is doing the same thing, maybe in different quality. I mean, like different cuisine or something. But did you take your look for an additional inspiration from other professionals in the cooking field? Maybe somebody you would seek for some knowledge or just inspiration, how they do things, how they pursue things.
I'm not sure that I did. I did enjoy watching people on TV, cooking shows and stuff. It was more for fun. But it's not like I've only cooked Parsi food. I love to cook other cuisines as well. So you have to read up a lot if you want to perfect it, if you want authenticity. I love to travel. So we travel as much as we possibly can. And like a lot of people say, oh, I went to see this church or that particular coliseum or whatever. I am all about, I ate this and I tried this and,
This country
that
food
sort
and that
of
culture food,
thing.
yeah.
Yes. And it sort of gives you a sort of a high when you can actually recreate that if you love something.
If you have
And
passion,
it can be
you
very
can achieve.
simple. Yes,
Very simple.
Yes, absolutely. So yes and no. I do like to watch other people's TV shows and get inspired to, oh, I'll cook this tomorrow. But
put
it's
your
not
hands
any
on new things
particular
also.
one. Yes, and it's a lot of fun,
Do you have specific cuisine that apart from Parsi that you like a lot?
Well, to be fair, my favorite food to eat is the simplest. Like, I love my comfort foods and my dal and my
Lentils,
roti
vegetables.
and, vegetables, stuff like that. Because vegetables just have a bad name because they're not cooked properly. If they're cooked properly, I think they are absolutely delicious. And I love them. But if I had to say something else, yes, I like French food and I like Italian food.
Those
the
are
best.
the world culture for cuisine.
Yeah, I love it. I love the flavors and, the way it's done and everything like that.
Aesthetically as well.
Yes, yes.
Niloufer, inform our viewers, as you know, that culinary art is a very vast field. So, according to you, which department interests you? For example, baking, seafood, breakfast, lunch items, dinner items, supper items, sweet dishes. So what are your favorites among all these divisions of making gourmet meals?
So baking, I love. I think the aromas that it brings to a home is
Fantastic.
just fantastic, yes. And also, I think it brings my
Happiness.
mom into the home because she just loved to bake and she was an absolutely excellent baker. But other than that, I do enjoy preparing different kinds of, trying things out.
Sweet or savory?
I want to say savory.
Savory.
Yes, I want to say savory because although I like sweets, I enjoy eating the savory more.
Tell us a little bit more of how you fulfill your passion besides your food blog and your books.
My Zoom classes. Uh, you know that COVID has changed
The
everybody's
whole world,
life.
yeah.
Yeah. But if you have to see a little silver lining, which all of us need to, because we don't really have a choice, the thing was that there was a lady who retired,
Mm-hmm.
and she called me up and she said, I really don't know what we're going to do through this COVID. Of
COVID.
course, we were thinking of 6 weeks at
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
It was March of 2020.
True.
And she said, I've always wanted to cook and I've never bothered. So why don't you teach us on Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, okay, let me think about it. And you have to challenge yourself.
Self.
If you want to go forward,
According to the times.
you have to challenge yourself, however difficult. And I'm not very great with technical stuff. So
We
I
all
had to
had to
find
learn.
out, yes, I had to find out how to put this together and what Zoom was and how do I switch it on and switch it off and how does it go through and everything. But with a little bit of help, we started.
Mm-hmm.
And this not only became a success story, but it became a part of my life. And now it's been, 250 classes later.
Wow.
It's just been fantastic because I have been able to reach the entire world.
World.
Yes, there are accommodations and considerations, and people in Australia wrote to me and said, how come we can't come? So I would get up at 5 a.m. to accommodate them once a week.
Yeah.
Because, you want to carry on. You want to do the best you
Mhm.
can.
You've become an international
And-
personality now.
Thank you. I don't know about that. And all of that gives you that sort of passion.
Mhm.
And people were just sort of coming in, and like I've had the largest class was about 350 people at one
Wow.
time,
Wow.
but otherwise averaging at about 60.
So
you
that's a lot.
you hold your Zoom meetings weekly?
Well, at that point, because everyone was just like, oh, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Because everyone's free. So it used to be 3 times a week.
Wow. Wow.
Sometimes 4. But then it became a little bit difficult because with COVID, to go and get the groceries, to prepare them, to keep everything ready, to send out the recipes,
True.
stuff
true.
like that, it takes time. And it's a
And you
one-man
were
show.
the main planner.
So then we started fixing it for Wednesdays and Sundays. And even now, we continue to do Wednesdays and Sundays.
Means twice a week.
Twice a week. And I haven't done it in the last 3-4 months because I was traveling.
Mhm.
But I hope to restart it
Restart
soon.
again.
And it's been really lovely because you get to meet such interesting people. I had one lady from Malta who was just
Wow.
reading about me on
Mhm.
Facebook, and she connected with me that can I join? And she just wanted to know what Parsi food was about. And that's the idea. The idea is to share a very, very ancient cuisine.
Cuisine.
So my mantra now is #reviving an ancient cuisine. One recipe at a time.
Wow. Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow. We salute you for the work you are doing. And as I said earlier also,
Luckily, I don't find it as my work. I thoroughly
do as a
enjoy
passion.
it. Yes.
Enjoy and with passion.
Yes,
That's
with
what we
passion.
know, and that's why I wanted to invite you to our Voice of
Thank
Canada.
you.
So our Canadians and people around the world, because our show is seen all over the globe. We are not only on channel over here and social media sites, but we are on several IPTV boxes. And our is the only channel which is 24 hours live via satellite too. So it will be a wide coverage, and God willing, hopefully, people from Australia, New Zealand, various other places will just say, Niloufer, you were on a talk show. You were really fantastic, and you gave us a hope that our Parsi cuisine would survive, and you will keep our culture alive.
It will survive. Don't worry. Everybody's finding it very interesting. people ask and they've started cooking. A lot of young people have started, making what we grew up on and took totally for granted. So I'm happy. I'm happy that they are doing that and they find it delicious and interesting enough to feed that to their children.
Once this COVID mess is over, will you be giving the live demonstrations again at your house or wherever you are invited or called by the people who are really interested to join your classes?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have been to a few cookery schools across the world. I was fortunate enough to be invited by Le Cordon Bleu in London, which I think was my personal highlight. But I think that was just because my aunt spoke
In England,
of it
you are very popular.
everything.
I was in London and I met few of our Persian or Parsi cooking and chefs and caterers. They did ask me about you.
Thank you. And I've done a few more. So I hope to continue to do that and maybe even go to Cordon Bleu in Ottawa. I believe they also have one. Yes.
How many countries you've been able to bring your passion and your knowledge to by now?
With the Zoom Club, so it's Australia, India, Pakistan, Singapore, Hong Kong, UK, France, Malta, Germany, Switzerland, and of course, USA, Canada.
Do you find it's more of an interest of people who is the same of your background, or some other people like from other cultures that are interested in this as well to learn?
Well, the majority so far is still from our background.
Persian background.
Yes, Zoroastrians who are in California or they are in New York, and they've all these little organizations have invited me to do a Zoom class for them so that it's part of their community as well, and it brings in
even Malaysia also you're popular.
Malaysia also
I know some over there, and they had requested you to come on a Zoom meeting. I recall.
True. That's true. I also did a TV show in Delhi.
Wow.
Yes, and again through Zoom, of course. But there are people who are in the culinary world, not from our community, who have approached and asked questions, written in their magazines about it. There's a magazine called The Cook's Cook, and she has done a TV show with me, for me actually, and there we celebrated mangoes.
Wow.
And we did a lot of stuff making mangoes.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting, yeah, that she picked that. And she still continues to put a lot of my work on her page because they do an online magazine and stuff like that. So it's slow and steady. Delicious Magazine UK has run
an article
on me. There are a few more. There was another article in a magazine called Chart. So there are several. Right now, Chehre Nama. It's a publishing journal in California, and that lady has just printed something in her journal. So people who are interested, they find me and they write what they need to write, and they promote the work as well. So it's not just for myself, it is for the community. It is for our food. And it's just not me. There are other people.
Other people too.
Other people have come forward. And I think that's a very good sign.
Nilofer, sorry to cut you short due to paucity of time. We'll be signing off for today's interview with you, and we will soon invite you again for more talk with you. And we're glad to know once your book number 3 arrives soon, maybe in 2023. But prior to that, it's my promise to you, I'll get you back on our show for our viewers to know further and further what you are doing to preserve our culture, our Persian and Parsi food, which is fantastic. Thank you for coming. Would you like to give some concluding remarks or comments to our viewers?
Sure. So the best thing that I can say is if you have a passion, you have to go after it. There are challenges and there'll always be challenges, but you just have to fulfill your dreams. And that is my sincere advice to you. Somehow the road and the path opens up and it happens. If you believe in it, it will happen.
Thank you, Niloufer, for coming to our Voice of Canada, which is anchored by Asphandiar Wadiwalla. My charming co-host is Ekaterina Konysheva, and it is produced by Awaz TV Entertainment. Keep watching our show, Voice of Canada, every Saturday at 8 p.m. And if you need any more inquiries about Niloufer, how to approach, how to get her books, inform us, and we will connect you with her.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
It's been a tremendous pleasure.
Goodbye. Adios. God bless Canada. Thank you.